Good morning, Elkton, Cecil County, Maryland, and beyond. Whoever might be watching this, this is your accident and injury guy, Attorney Bowers, coming at you with another Monday morning lawyer. Whether you are watching this as part of the live stream or you are watching it after the fact, I want to thank you for tuning in. We are into June. And as I mentioned last week and online, this is going to be a bit of a different episode. In fact, the entire month is going to be a little bit different in as much as that we're not really focusing on specific legal topics that you would call my office or another attorney's office with if you had the situation. There will be some scattered into this, but we decided that we wanted to, or I decided that I wanted to talk about a variety of scams that are out there and do a PSA, a public service announcement type of episode. And in sourcing some information from my personal Facebook page and the law firm's Facebook page, the response we've gotten is so overwhelming that we felt the need to dedicate the entire month, and this is just kind of how it fell, so that we're here in June. Every episode that we do this month, unless something earth-shattering happens, which I don't expect, that makes us feel like we need to touch on that topic, is going to talk about scams, what to look out for, how to protect yourself from them. And we will not, there are so many of them out there that we will not be able to cover everything. It's absolutely impossible. But I've broken it down over the next 4 weeks, including today, to 4 categories that these things fall into. And we are going to do what we can to touch on as much useful information on these scams as we can. So today, when we get to it, we are going to be talking about consumer, like individual driven scams that are out there. And because there are so many of those, I'm just really going to go through, because I so want to keep these episodes at about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll probably end up going over that today, maybe pushing that 20-minute mark. But what I'm going to talk about today is less about the intricacies of these scams, because there are so many of them, and more focus on some of the red flags, so that you, at least if you recognize these red flags, because there's a lot of commonality between them, you know to hit the brakes and then do more research. We're going to do, obviously, like I said, today we're going to talk about these consumer or individual driven scams that are out there. And we're going to have a week that is going to be dedicated to entertainment based. So some of these are going to be events. Some of these are going to be geared toward gig workers and performers, because there are just, again, all of these topics arise out of ones where there just seems to be a lot of scams targeting a certain population beyond just the individual consumer. There are a wide variety of scams that specifically target businesses. A lot of them target brick and mortar businesses. So we're going to do a week covering those. And then we're going to get into one of the more vulnerable communities, the last episode that we're going to do this month, which we've scheduled with an elder law attorney. This will be a scenario that might make you want to call an attorney before any of this can ever happen, but there are a wide variety of elder law scams that are out there where that more vulnerable aging population is targeted in a variety of ways. So we've already lined up a special guest and an attorney that does elder law work that is very well aware of many of the scams that are out there targeting that population. So that one's you could already mark your calendar for that one. That's June 24th. I will give you a heads up that if you don't have your affairs in order, that you might want to call our office. You could do so before time or send us an email the same way you would to recommend a topic or ask a question about this. So either call us, we can refer you to this attorney, because no matter what your situation is, and a lot of people sit out there and think, well, I don't really have anything, I don't need a will. You should have a will. They're relatively inexpensive. And for those who you leave behind, having all of that stuff situated. And again, this is a topic that nobody really is super excited to talk about, but having all of that taken care of ahead of time, where everything is lined up, you're doing your family members a big service. But that, again, we'll talk more about that in the future. But if you want to get a head start on that type of planning, feel free to call my office. We can line you up and refer you to who we work with on those. Happy to do so. Or you can wait to talk to them at the end of the month on the chat here. But today, like I said, we are going to talk about common scams. Most of these, but not all, but most of these start on the internet, whether it be via email or social media or otherwise, that are out there to try to gather your information. And really, a lot of them are really keyed toward identity theft, and some of them straight up towards sucking money out of you directly. And all of them fall into really a category, as far as the approach is concerned, called social engineering. It is individuals or groups or organizations out there that are pretending to be somebody that they're not, in order to get information or money or both from you. And again, I could do probably a new episode of this every single week, drilling down intently and deep on each individual topic, each individual approach. There's no time for that. That'd be like a second podcast on scams. And quite frankly, the biggest thing that I will say, because so many other people have probably touched on this topic, I don't know for sure, but I know that there's a lot of content out there that is designed to protect you. That the number one rule about any of this stuff is that if you are in a conversation or you approached about any of this stuff, if there is a question, if there is an alarm bell ringing in the back of your head, so to speak, Google it. Google the scenario, Google the big topics of what you are dealing with or how somebody is approaching you. If it is a scam, you are highly likely to find information about a scam of that style out there. If you see it, just stop immediately. Don't click the link, don't provide the information, whatever it is. What I want to do today, and again, to keep this brief, I want to talk about some of the big rocks, some of the things that we see out there that are huge red flags that let you know that, hey, something might be up, and that you might want to do that Google search. You might want to drill deeper. You might want to just completely disengage. The number one rule of thumb, though, is if the scenario that you're entering in seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. But ultimately, I will tell you right now, the big factors, the red flags, here are things to look for, that when the conversation that you're having, because most of these end up being a conversation back and forth between individuals, and I'm going to upload some stuff that we've seen that has come up there. Many of these I'm going to be able to talk to you about. Some of these I won't, because I haven't dug deeply into the rabbit hole. But number one, first and foremost, I'm going to give 2 or 3 examples of this. Suspicious text messages that you might get randomly. They're not even all from phone numbers. Some of them are from some wonky ass, pardon my French, some wonky email address. They might look like this. As you can see here, this is from a Hotmail address. That's real official looking, right? Don't click this link under any circumstances. This probably falls into a category known as phishing. This is somebody trying to gather more information to you or access to your device and everything that's on it. All right. These are not what they seem. All right. This is super important to avoid this kind of stuff. If you have a package that is coming from somebody that you don't recognize, it's probably not legit. Another one that you will commonly see, these generally tend to come via email, although I have heard people getting them via text message, is you get an invoice. You get an invoice mysteriously for something that you didn't order. Thank you for your payment. Sometimes I've seen these from Amazon that, hey, your payment's been declined. We're not going to be able to ship your stuff. They come in a variety of formats. These are also most likely phishing expeditions. Okay, that McAfee virus software, I know you've gotten that one. We all have gotten that one. You didn't order it. The email with the invoice and your address that inevitably has a link at the bottom that says, if you think this is an error, click here or call here, is somebody that is trying to suck additional information out of you. Another one that you get, and this one, these are, and I will warn you profusely about these. This is something that has been talked about on major television, major media outlets, and everything like that. Scams where somebody will text you inadvertently from a wrong number, thinking that they're reaching someone else. They almost all look some way like this, or hey Mary, or whatever, a name that's probably not yours. Sometimes they might randomly hit, unless you've got a name like mine. Nobody's got a name like mine, so I don't have to worry about somebody hitting on my name with some random text because it's just so uncommon. But sometimes these scams here take place over an extended period of time. They're not fast to respond, and that's intentional. They're having this back and forth conversation that, oh, I'm sorry, that must be a new number, or I must have typed the wrong number. And then, so how are you? And they start a conversation with you. And ultimately, they are going to try, most likely, the most common way that this type of scam manifests is that they're trying to get you to buy or think that you're buying and investing in some commodity. A lot of times they are cryptocurrency or some sort of overseas foreign currency exchange type of stuff. Almost all of these are a scam. Almost all of these are somebody saying, oh, just send the money to me and I'll take care of it, because otherwise you're going to have to download all this software and you're going to have to monitor the markets and all this other stuff. It's so much easier if you just send me your money and I'll invest it for you because I've been doing this for a long time. They are going to try to show you outlays of, look, see how I invested $10,000 and I turned it into 50 and it only took 2 weeks, or whatever it is. The numbers will be different. All of these are an absolute scam. Other big red flags to look out for. Those are some of the major ones. Those are some of the ones that get seen all the time. Some of them occasionally will come from companies, and this is one of the rare ones that you may want to call our office to get some help with. We've talked about one of these on an episode in the past, getting a bill, an actual bill from a company that you've actually done business with. In my world, we see a lot of it medically, but you've already paid that bill. Sometimes it is actually a scam. Sometimes it is an actionable piece of negligence on the part of the billing company, or something getting sent to collections that that you've paid. Again, there's a previous episode where we talk about bad billing. If you think that one's happening to you, dig up, I want to say it was 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. Watch that episode first, then contact our office. We can happily help with that. Another one is companies, and we see this a lot in the mortgage world, where in order to make a payment quickly, and you're doing it over the phone or online, that they're tacking on additional service fees. Most of the time, these companies are not authorized to tack on these extra service fees. It would have needed to have been part of the original contract. If they're tacking on these additional service fees, whether they're a flat amount of money for doing it on the phone or a percentage of the payment. They come in all sorts of forms. Not only is it not proper, it may also be actionable. You may be able to sue those through our help or through a colleague of ours, because here locally in our office, we only deal with auto accidents. Whoops. I'm never going to be able to point the right way because it's always reversed there. Yeah, these crashing is what I do personally every day. A lot of scams with stuff like that. Another one that we see, and I just was reminded of this one because I haven't seen it in a while, but some sort of situation is going on and somebody needs help, or you allegedly owe somebody some sort of money. And the first way that they're looking to get that money from you is through some sort of a gift card. Go here, buy a gift card, and then give me the information. All of these things here with the gift card type of stuff represents a way that once you've given them that information, they can disappear, poof, gone, and are untraceable. The biggest problem with the way that a lot of these scams are set up is that once they get what they want from you, one of two things is going to happen. Either A, they're going to keep digging and keep soaking you for more. They're going to try to bleed you dry. Or the most important one for them, and why most of these folks never get brought to justice, is that they're untraceable. Once you give somebody the information on that gift card, the little code and the PIN number sometimes or anything like that, poof, gone. Think about some of your favorite places that have apps where you can take the gift card and load it onto the app. Once you've done that, the gift card's gone. That piece of plastic or whatever it is that you have is useless once you've loaded it into your app. It doesn't matter whether it's a big box store or it's a coffee place like a Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, any of those that have the app. Once you get that gift card and send it to somebody, poof, gone. Poof, gone. There's no way to trace who took it. The companies generally don't keep good enough record of that, and the accounts that they're getting loaded onto are a shell account anyway. So as soon as gift cards come into the conversation, big red flag. Which brings me to the point of things not being traceable. One of the other huge red flags, something that we're seeing even more and more of, and this is kind of going to be the one that rounds it out here for this week, talking about these consumer ones, is when the conversation shifts from wherever it was initiated, whether it be some sort of social media app like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, to, oh, hey, can you contact me here? Maybe they sent you that random text, but they want to pivot that conversation to an app called Telegram. A lot of these apps, what they're doing is getting it to a place where they cannot be traced. They cannot be tracked down. That on their side, there's a lot more anonymity. There's a lot more security. And when that happens, that is a huge red flag that they're probably trying to scam you. And of course, they don't want to get caught. That getting into the realm where they can't be traced, where you can't really identify who this actual person is, the number one way where you don't generally see, of all the things you see in the news media, you don't generally see these folks being brought to justice because they're savvy and they facilitate this stuff in a way that is impossible to be traced. And if it's impossible to be traced, it's impossible to be caught. So we put all this stuff out there, obviously not to get you to call my office, because for the most part, the way that my office can help you with these is by you listening to this and being on alert, high alert for these red flags and not falling into the trap. Because 99% of the time, with the exception of like the bad billing or tacking on fees to things like mortgage payments and stuff like that, the majority of the time, there's not anything that an office like us can do. There's not anything that the local government, like the police or even the FBI, can do, because a lot of the stuff happens overseas and again is untraceable. And they will bounce their signal from computer to computer to computer. They'll initiate this using some sort of burner phone, which by the time that they've pivoted you into some untraceable app is gone. There's no way to trace who this person is. Very, very little way to recover any of the money from this. That really runs through so many of the red flags. So if you see any of this stuff, and again, don't hesitate to rewatch this video, take notes, and be on high alert for any of these red flags. This is by no means an exhaustive list of the way that these scammers come at you, but what I've talked about in here represents a lot of it and a lot of the ways to identify what some of this stuff is. So please protect yourself, share this with family members. A lot of times when people get deep down that rabbit hole, when people are being scammed, whether that is a short con or a long con that takes decades and decades, because yes, there are some long cons out there. There are people every single day that are being conned and have been conned for years and years and years. And the deeper that you get into that rabbit hole, the longer that you've been buying into that pitch, that propaganda, that ongoing long-term scam. And I'm telling you, those ones that start as a text message, they will drag those things out for a long time. They will try to create this kind of casual friendship with you. And it may be months and months and months until they're like, oh, hey, I just want to let you know that I made all of this money, and try to suck you in. You may not see it right away. So they're trying to build some sort of rapport or trust with you over a long period of time so that you are far more defensive about, oh, hey, wait, there's a red flag, but I've been talking to this person for so long. I've been engaged with this person for so long. I've been following this person for so long in whatever way it may be, that when the house of cards start falling down, people get super defensive. People don't want to buy into the fact that they may have been scammed. So please feel free to share this with folks that you think might be in the middle of one of those situations. And obviously there is far more comprehensive, detailed on individual scams information that's out there other than what's here. I just wanted to do this kind of as a surface level look out for these things because they're a big thing. Hopefully we can protect some people. I mean, if I protect one person, if one person watches this video and doesn't fall victim to a scam because I alerted them to a big red flag, I have done my job. I am happy about that. So if that happens, please let me know. Whether it's a friend, family member, I'm not going to put you on blast. Any of those types of inquiries or letting me know that you've been helped by this, completely confidential, but obviously I like to see that feedback to know that what I'm doing here is useful. Please subscribe. Please tune in. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about additional scams, ones that target businesses, ones that are entertainment or event driven, and those who target the more aged population, not quite the elderly, some into the elderly, those who are in a more vulnerable group. These are all going to be in individual episodes. Again, we've got so much scam happening out there that we're dedicating the entire month each week to a different one of these topics. So again, if you need me, if you need something that my office handles, the contact information is either above or below, depending on whether you want to call or email. Primarily what we deal with are auto accidents. We are here to help you on that. Apologies, I guess, for the longer episode. If you are still watching and or listening at this point, thanks for hanging in there. I hope this was helpful for you or for somebody else that you're connected to. Until next week, be well all, and we will see you out there.